Dade County Vice Chair, Commissioner, Vice Chair of the Dade County Commission, Robert Goff, to the studio as we have Thursday morning is on the air. Good morning, KWN.
Good morning, Evan. How is everything going? I've been out of town, you know.
Yeah, okay. Well, tell us a little bit about what's going on.
Well, I always like to give a shout out. It has nothing to do with us particular as a county, but it is we were the recipients of it a little over 10 years ago. I'm with the Georgia Baptist Disaster Relief and have been since right after the tornadoes that we suffered here in Dade County because I saw the work that they done. And there's a lot of other groups, Samaritan's Purse, the Red Cross, different ones, different denominations that go out and help. But I've been down in a little place called Kentwood, Louisiana, and it's where it wasn't the remnants of Ida that came through, but it was the winds that went on inland about 80 miles from the coast. And helping people get trees off of their homes and everything. A lot of them don't have insurance. Their houses have been beat to death by floods and hurricane, but they're still standing on a foundation. It's really sad, but it's a time that we get to go out and help them, and of course we don't charge anything. It's all volunteer. So I was down. We did get sent home a day early because the rain coming in from Nicholas now was going to be heavy in that area, and you don't cut trees on a windy and rainy day. So I ask folks to pray for those people because it's just on the heel of one storm, another one, and another one. And we know what our storms were in one day. And then, of course, last Easter as well, or Easter of last year, and what devastation it can cause in just a few minutes of time, how much of your life can just be ripped away from you. So that's where I've been, and probably will be going back for the season's
Well, we
over.
definitely appreciate your service in doing that, and I know that without those organizations, primarily, I guess, from church organizations, it's hard for any community to recover.
Oh, it is. It's just and you know, the thing about those organizations, Evan, is we can go up to the house, we can go up on the roof of the house and in the house, whereas a government can only come to the right-of-way. In other words, that's why you have to get the trees and the furniture or whatever it is to the right-of-way, because they cannot come on private properties to pick it up. So that's what we do. If it's carrying a couch, this was not a flood event, but carrying the couch, the rugs, anything that water touches, it's gone in a flood. So you empty your complete house in a situation like that, and just you're starting all over if you've got anything left to start with.
Well, we certainly appreciate that. Appreciate what you do, and I know there's a lot of folks around the area. I know that we had one of the gentlemen from Davis Fire Hall on here a couple of weeks ago, and they were putting together as much as they could take in a truck or a trailer or something of water and different supplies down there. So a lot of folks helping out in that region. And it's not that far away. It's just down
No,
59.
It's a few hours away, sure enough.
Absolutely. Dade County moving into the fall season, and I'm going to ask you something, and you may not know as of yet. And I meant to ask Carrie, and she's here in the studio with us. The recreational facility on Highway 11. It looks like somebody had vandalized some of the fence down there, trying to get into the tennis courts. And some of the comments wanted to know, why was it closed? Why is the sports complex closed? Does anybody know?
Yeah, actually, I'm going to come over here and answer. So,
okay,
we made an announcement on the sports complex's Facebook page, and put that out there so people would know that it was closed for routine maintenance and resurfacing. So they were resurfacing the pickleball courts, the tennis courts, and the basketball courts. So we're just making the facility better and improving it. And that's why it was closed, and so we made that announcement. Evidently, a lot of people did not see that announcement, and they thought we were just kind of closing it to be mean. But so
let's hope not.
You know,
well,
so really, we were just closing it so that it would be.
So you
better.
get some improvements going on.
So we're
resurfacing
and sealing
like
it.
Well,
so
that makes sense.
Yeah.
And it is what doesn't make sense. Somebody would want to damage government property to be able to get in there if they wanted to play or whatever.
I can, and of course, being gone, that was new news to me. But I can tell you this: about 5 years ago, people came, and there's people that love to play tennis. I'd never heard of pickleballs all the time. Obviously, we've all heard of basketball, and first one thing to know.
I don't like pickles.
Pickle was a dog. There's a story behind that, by the way, and literally he was a dog that run and got the ball when they didn't get it. But we had even the high school was playing tennis. They didn't have tennis courts over at the high school at the time. They were playing their tennis matches at the sports complex, and over the years, it is an asphalt court, and it began to, just like roads, it began to crack, and when it cracked, there'd be some rising in it, and it got to where that we couldn't do anything. Well, it being a county facility, and we started getting calls from people who did play, older people and adults, and they wanted a place to play. Why don't we fix it? Well, so we did. We had a company come in and resurface it. That's where the pickleball, they said, we can put you a pickleball court out there. So we went, but it needs to be maintained. I think it was every 5 years. So whoever did that, you're certainly not helping your cause, nor are you helping, you're just wasting taxpayers' money, because that's all we're trying to do is to keep it. It's just like a car. You don't change oil, what happens? Eventually you either the oil runs out, or it gets so thick and sluggish it does not do your engine any good. So that's all we were doing, and is routine maintenance on it that may happen every 5 years or as needed. So people go in and think they're, if you're going to break through a fence and get to play and that kind of thing. As far as the other courts, the ball fields, sometimes Stacy has to make that decision based on weather and rain, because we close them up. We've had people go down. It's been a long time, but one lady was going down and walking, and she would take her dog in and lock it in one of the ball field fences while she walked. Well, you and I both know what dogs are wanting to do out in the yard, and you've got holes being dug, and you got other things being dropped on the ground. It's not, and people can say, well, I'm a taxpayer, but the thing about it is, that's not for that. That is not a dog kennel. That is a place to try to make it safe for people to play sports, and places with holes in it and that kind of thing is just not safe. So we try to maintain a recreational park that is second to none, and we have one. But when people do that, it just sets us back, because there's more taxpayer money now to go and fix what they have torn up. So please know what you're doing before you do it. Call somebody and say, why are the tennis courts closed? And it's a simple answer. Once they put that surfacing down, it's like painting a floor. You don't walk in to get a glass of water on top of it till the floor has dried. So that's my soapbox on that, but that's what has happened.
All right. Well, thank you, Commissioner. Regardless of, and that makes perfect sense to do some resurfacing and having to close it temporarily, regardless of though nobody should damage government property.
No, they should. Or anyone else's property for that matter.
Well,
it's just
that is true too. Things going on in the county. We got an election coming up just around the corner for one of the commission seats. The rest of the term of Alan Bradford, who passed away, of course, earlier this year. You appointed his daughter into that position, but that was only until a special election could be held, and that's going to be coming up in November, the first Tuesday in November. And the qualifying for that is just around the corner.
The qualifying will be September the 27th, the 28th, and half a day on the 29th for this particular office. And because it is a special election, it's not a 4.5 day qualifying. That will be done at the Commissioner Office building, the admin building. The qualifying fee, if anyone is interested in running, here's your chance. $120 qualifying fee and that goes part to the county and part to the party of which you qualify for, be that a Republican or Democrat. It is for both parties. It is to fill the unexpired term of Brother Alan Bradford, who passed away with COVID. This will begin, I think, immediately upon the election, which is in November. If not, it would be, but basically it's 3 years that he had left on his term, or would have left on January the 1st. So if anybody's interested, that's when it is. Don't let it get by. And now you do have to live in District 4, although everyone in the county will vote for that commissioner, as they do all commissioners. We're all elected at large. And please hear this, if you don't hear anything else, don't be confused. Yes, it is it's going in with a city election, which was the first election to be held after Brother Allen's death. So it is for the city commissioners to be elected. I think 2 or maybe 3, however they're staggered. But it is in addition to that, you will be voting for this. Then on election day, which is I think November the 2nd, all the precincts in the county will be open. And so when you go by and say, what are they voting for? Because we didn't know we had anything coming up. It's for that one office and that one office alone to fill the unexpired term of District 4 Commissioner Allen Bradford.
And we've only had one person officially come out and make their announcement, and that is Melissa Bradford, who is currently the appointed person that yourself and the other commissioners appointed into that position until an election can be held. So she made that announcement this past weekend for the District 4 commission seat. But like you said, the qualifying will be coming up real soon, and they'll be able to do that. District 4, pretty much most of the Piney community and all of Lookout Mountain.
It is, yes, when you cross the 136 bridge on the left hand side of the road, the Piney community in there, the William Street and that, and then all the way up that side of the mountain, which is Canyon Park Estates. It does not cover across the road where I always say where Johnny Warren lives, over in Cherokee. This is the Cherokee at the foot of the mountain. It does, and that is in my district, in District 3. And then when you get back as far as Creek Road, which goes on down and comes out on Highway 11 down north end of the county, that is all on Lamar Lowry's District 1. So then basically all of Lookout Mountain, everything out on Lookout Mountain, but the only part of Trenton that we would say is Trenton, not in the city, that is covered by that is the Piney area, yes.
So District 4, and once again it is voted county-wide, and you're exactly right, they will be coinciding with this county-wide special election to fill the unexpired term of Commissioner Bradford will be the city election.
Yes.
The city election's got 2 city commissioners that one of them is running unopposed, one of them does have opposition, and then there's 3, I believe, questions concerning liquor that's going to be on the ballot for city residents only. Right. So if you live in the city, you'll be able to vote for the city election as well as the county commissioner race. But if you live outside the city limits, you'll only be able to vote for the District 4 commissioners.
Right, that is correct. And if you do have questions, anybody have a question, you can call a commission office, obviously, and find out. But the best source is to call LaWanna Bond or whoever is in the elections office, and that's at 706-657-8170, 657-8170. That's the election commission, and that's where you will go to qualify, fill out the qualifying documents to do so. And that's very important. Another thing coming up that now I'm reading here basically, but Hell's Gap Road leveling and paving should begin in October. And somehow or another, this is September, so October sounded so far away a few months ago, but it's not. Striping on several roads, we received a state grant again to help, and we've seen how that works out on some of our roads, like I think McKegg Road and different ones over the last few years, and we thank the state for some of that money that they have in GDOT to be able to give us for that. One thing I will say, before Hell's Gap starts, and the reason I say this, and you cut me off even if I get too long-winded, but I am a Baptist Costal, you know. But when Highway 136 west was being fixed, it was a constant complaint on Facebook of people having to sit and wait on that traffic. That was a dangerous road. The state come in and spent untold millions of dollars to be able to fix it, and it looks like they've done a good job as far as digging out the bad parts up around the horseshoe curves and all that. But think about it. It cannot be done overnight, and it won't be done overnight, and there will be some lines of traffic waiting, some coming down, some going up, is the best you can do. But I would ask you to think of those poor guys that are sitting on a paver that has 400-degree pavement under them, and anywhere from now this time of year 80 to 95 degrees above them, and they're sitting there doing that job so we can have a safe road up Hell's Gap or wherever that may be. It's so easy to get aggravated and put out this bad stuff because of the social media, but think about those guys. They're doing that so we can have safer roads, and this is one, as far as Hell's Gap, that we have heard. I've heard complaints of people that live in Tennessee or at least other parts of Georgia how bad it is. So we're going to try to fix that, but it's going to take a little bit of time. I can't give you a time frame on it, but I know there's going to be some times you're going to be stopped to let traffic down and stopped to let traffic up, and that's just part of the way it is. So please be patient. Or the other way is to go around and come off at Highway 6, County Road 6, that we just spent about $1 million on to make it safe. So there are other ways, and I'm not being ugly about it, but there's other ways around if you feel like you don't want to wait for traffic.
Progress, and I mean, it is rough to have to, especially if you got to be somewhere at a certain time and you don't realize that you get right there and you forgot. Oh yes, I knew that they were doing this, but I'm gonna have to set in this traffic for a while. I mean, it gets it's not the greatest thing to have to worry about. Just on a note, we just I won't say celebrated. We celebrated the life of the folks that gave their life for being patriots on 9/11 this past weekend, and we commemorated those lives that were lost. But there was one thing that I heard. They were doing some things 20 years ago. You didn't have this, and one of the things that was brought out 20 years ago, there was no such thing as social media.
Yeah,
no such thing as social media, and of course it was a little comical when they said, and Alexa was a girl's name.
yeah
20 years ago. That's
well,
all.
we have progressed. You got people living with it now and being born under this, and this is all they'll ever know. And you and I knew the party line on a telephone. Now, if you young enough don't know what that means, call me and I'll explain it, because you won't have to call me on a party line.
I seen a push button dialed phone, an older phone. Wasn't even a rotary phone, but it was a push button dialed phone on a picture yesterday, and they said, please explain to me why this phone was in my basement, in a damp basement in a box for 30 years. I can bring it out and hooked it up and it works fine, but yet a cell phone that I paid $1,000 for a year ago, the battery won't stay charged and the screen is cracked.
Well, how can you argue with that? But anyway,
that's fair.
I want to say before we go today, and I know you mentioned on the obituaries, there's a funeral today for Perry Conkle. Perry's to me, is a lifelong friend. I grew up with him and his family up in New Home. But Perry worked for a lot of years with the Agency on Aging and Disability that is part of, kind of through the Northwest Georgia Regional Commission. And it is an appointed thing, and it just helps people find resources. Those resources may just be to get plastic. A lot of people don't know what we mean. We put plastic on the windows in the wintertime. I certainly do. So it could be anything from trying to find help with your heat and that kind of thing. But Perry was a good man, a good Christian man, and he's going to be missed, especially in the New Home community, because I guarantee you there's nobody there that didn't know who he was. So keep his family in your prayers, as well as all those you read, whether they be from here or wherever. It's a loss to someone's family.
I know that, and I know you've been gone, and of course the executive's not here, but just in the last week or so, the county clerk, along with the executive, went over and attended a meeting with all of the counties in North Georgia concerning a considerable, it is a lot of money. The American Recoveries Act, over $3.2 million that Dade County alone has got to, or has available to spend over the next 3 years. and they just went to this regional meeting. Do you have any information on that, or not yet?
Well, no, and that's what and I didn't get to go. I did plan to go, but this other seemed something that I felt like as a ministry I needed to be doing. But it is money that we have received, as well as all the counties probably by now have received half of the money that they will receive from the federal government under the rebuild, whatever, the American Recovery Act. And there's certain things you can spend it on, and of course there's things you can't. It is pretty broad, I think, that you can spend. Probably that's what's happening in Catoosa County. You mentioned.
Yeah, we had on the news this morning
yeah,
that their commission is offering $500 per county employee if they'll go and show proof of vaccination. Plus, they get up to 40 hours of paid time off.
Yeah.
If they'll go, and they're using the story that I've seen. They are using this money to be able to encourage the employees.
Yeah.
To go get vaccinated.
And you know, the governor just did that with the state about, well, it was the Friday before Labor Day. Offices were closed, and it kind of come up pretty quick because he had given the state a day off for that same reason, a paid day off for them to go. Now, how it worked out, I don't know. But now when the state closes, counties, and that's not an every year holiday, that was a one-time thing. But when the state closes, counties such as your tag office and anybody else, you have to do everything through these computers. And so we follow the state pretty much on the days off, but that's what that was for. We're giving you a day off to go get vaccinated. I don't know how many did. That would be above my pay scale to find out, I'm sure. But I have been vaccinated. I've had both my Moderna shots, and now the boosters coming up. To me, it's somebody's choice. I do want to say we've got some hateful emails. I'm just going to tell you, if you go into Marjorie Taylor Greene's website and you think you're sending your U.S. Congress or Senate a nasty, pretty much starts out as your constituent annual boss, I demand you to vote against mask and vaccine mandates. That's coming to me and to the other commissioners, and I'm sure all over the state of Georgia, probably the same thing. So because I've only confronted one person, I haven't answered them. It's come to me, but the thing about it is, this person I confronted just to ask her about it because I knew her. She's the only one that I knew by name. She said, "I didn't mean to send that to you. I thought I was sending." So if you go under, I've never, well, I have met, but I don't know Marjorie Taylor Greene.
It's probably going to all elected officials.
It is.
Up and down from the county commission all the way up to Congress.
Right. And but it's very nasty. It's not worded the way you would want it, and I don't even know what shows up when they put it in. But it's really nasty. It's ugly to whoever you're sending it to. I demand you, and I'm your boss, and we have 16,000 bosses in Dade County, and as a matter of fact, starting in a couple of weeks when the early voting starts, the bosses of the commissioner, whoever going to serve in District 4, you are their boss, and that's how you're the boss. You can watch that.
I have to wrap things up. We've got about 15 seconds here. Commissioner, thank you. Real quick, your phone number.
My phone number is 423-503-0618.
All right. Vice Chair of the Dade County Commissioner, Robert Goff. Thank you. Wrapping things up here, and we'll see you back tomorrow for another edition of KWN Today.